Hey everyone, my name is Lockhart QT, and today I'm going to be predicting the group stages, knockout stages and so on for the Euro 2024, because if you don't know, the final playoff games have recently been played with, obviously congratulations to those teams that have qualified, especially Georgia, as this is the first time they've qualified and it's going to be really interesting to see, and I'll touch on Georgia later, but let's get right into it. So straight away, I'm going to be predicting Group A. Now, Group A is a really difficult group, in my opinion, to predict. I could honestly see this group going any which way. There's only one country that I think will be clear favourites for this group, and that is Germany, purely for the fact that obviously they are hosts of the Euros, and I do think that Germany, when they do host a tournament, relatively tend to do well. They also did really well in their friendlies, especially against France, and because of that, and because of the fact that they've got that star power and those absolute icons in the industry currently playing for them, I do think that Germany will top this group. In second, I've actually gone for Scotland. Now, obviously, this is a bit biased towards the fact that obviously I'm from England, I'm from the UK, but I really do think Scotland have got a decent chance here, purely for the fact that recently, and also in their qualifiers, especially in their qualifying group, Scotland did really well, especially with players like McTominay and McGinn absolutely carrying them, in my opinion. And I do think that if Scotland put in the performances and they do get those goals, I do definitely think they can go through. Third place, I've got Hungary. Like I said at the beginning of this group, I do think Hungary could be placed anywhere, really. I do think they could either top the group or come third. I don't think they'll come last, but Hungary are definitely a very tight-knit team that can play well, and they're a very strong team as well. But again, I do think they'll finish third, purely for the fact that I do think Germany and Scotland do have better players, but again, don't count out Hungary. And last place, Switzerland. Switzerland have had a really, I guess, weird friendlies, and they've had a weird form recently. But to be fair to Switzerland, they do usually turn up on the international stage, making upsets against teams like Brazil in the World Cup, for example, and certain teams in previous Euros. I've got them fourth, purely for the fact that you're based on their performances and their team at the minute. However, again, this group could be all over the place. Switzerland could top it for all I know, but we're going to have to wait and see. But I have put Switzerland fourth. I do think they will go out in the group, and in my opinion, in this group, they're probably the weakest team next to Scotland. Group B, probably I'd argue and say the group of death for this tournament. This group is a bit brutal. Albania had a really good qualifiers for the Euros, but I do think they'll finish last. Albania, I've put them last in this group purely for the fact that they're probably the weakest team here, but again, they could be a bit of a dark horse in this tournament and cause an upset. We're going to have to wait and see. In third, I've got Italy. Now, Italy are a really interesting team, and they're really difficult to predict as of late. Italy used to be one of the best countries in the world. Obviously, they won the last Euros, but especially with World Cups and World Cup qualifying, Italy have been all over the place. They've either been really good or really bad. They've never really been in between. And again, they very nearly didn't qualify for this Euros. So again, we're going to have to wait and see, but I do think Italy will finish third. Next up, we have Spain. Spain are a very good team, especially at the minute. They've got a couple of injuries, but I do think that they'll pull through for this tournament. Again, Spain have also got a wealth of young talent coming through, and they're just overall favourites to, get through to the semi-finals, so I do think Spain will finish second. But in first, I've actually got Croatia. Croatia are that dark horse, especially in the past sort of 4 or 5 international tournaments. Croatia have really turned up, knocking out favourites such as Brazil. They've got to 2 World Cup semi-finals back-to-back and have been in a World Cup final. And okay, there were no match for France that year, but Croatia have a really strong team, and I do think there will come a time, where players like Luka Modric retire, and I do think Croatia do have a very good chance to fall apart effectively, but I don't think it will be this tournament. I do think it will probably be the one after this, being the next World Cup, but I think for the Euros, Croatia will have a decent chance. So in Group C, I've got England obviously topping the group. This is completely biased, I completely understand. England under Gareth Southgate are a very wishy-washy side, purely for the fact that we put in so many mixed performances, especially at our friendlies. Okay, we've got Harry Kane out, we had Cole Palmer out, and Bukayo Saka, as well as Jordan Henderson all out, which obviously puts a massive dent into the team. However, we've still got a wealth of star power, players such as Bellingham, Foden, etc., and especially new players coming to the side such as Anthony Gordon, Kobbie Mainoo and Cole Palmer, for example, are really looking very good, both club-wise and for their country. So I do think England, with a mix of sort of legacy players such as Harry Kane and Jordan Pickford, and obviously Harry Maguire and etc., but plus the newer, younger players coming in, I think England will do really well in this tournament. Now again, the rest of this group is really difficult to predict purely for the fact that a lot of these countries, again, this could be one where I think the next 3 countries could finish anywhere. But in second, I've got Serbia, just because they're a very gritty, very hard team. They're going to get yellow cards all over the place. They're going to get fouls all over the place. But Serbia usually do make it out of a group purely for the fact that they are very tough to sort of defend against. Plus, they have a very rock-solid back four usually, and I do think Serbia will come second. In third, I've got Denmark. Denmark's form as of late, again, has been all over the place. They have shown up for certain tournaments. They had a really bad World Cup, if I remember from the last time they went out. But again, I do think Denmark will finish third in this group. Fourth, I've got to be honest, this is a country that always qualify but don't really do well in the groups. That's Slovenia. They're one of those where they qualify and then tend to get either 1 or 0 points. I don't really know much about their team. I don't really follow Slovenia as a country, and I do think they'll easily finish 4th in this group. Group D. Now, I think this is where I'm going to probably, the next 2 groups, I'm going to upset a lot of people, but obviously first is France. I'd argue and say France are one of the 3 favourites with England and Germany to win the entire thing. France have one of the best teams in the world. They've got Kylian Mbappe and absolutely so on. They've got some of the best players in the world. Very easy. I think France will top the group. In second, though, I've gone with a bit of a dark horse again, and I've gone with Austria. Austria had a very decent qualifying session, and they've got some world-class players on their team. And I do just something about it. Again, this isn't really going off any stats or any, past prior game knowledge. This is just, I think looking at their team, I can really see Austria at least getting to the last 16 of this tournament, just purely for the fact that, again, they are that team that can put in performances against the bigger countries, but we're going to have to wait and see. Third place is Netherlands. I don't know what it is about Holland, as in the Netherlands this time around, but I'm just not feeling it from them. Obviously, I don't know if it's players like Wout Weghorst or, other players coming in from their country, and obviously players that are getting older, such as Virgil van Dijk, but they have got, obviously, the wealth of star power, such as Cody Gakpo, De Jong, etc. They've got so many good players, but for some reason, it's just something telling me that Netherlands will come third. I don't know. I don't think they'll finish first or second in this group. I do think they'll just about qualify. Fourth place, Poland. So Poland did qualify for the Euros, but I do think they will go out 4th in the group. Again, they've had a very shaky qualifiers, and obviously they've got players such as Robert Lewandowski and so on, and Matty Cash, etc. And Poland are, again, a very difficult team to predict. They either show up in international tournaments, they usually do get through to the qualifiers or quarterfinals in major tournaments, because they do, again, they have some really good players playing for their team. But again, they're very hard to predict for this tournament, but I do think Poland will go out. Group E. Now, this is where I'm going to piss off a lot of people, and this is where I'm going to shake things up a bit. In the top spot, I've gone for Romania. Romania had an absolutely brilliant qualifying session, and I can really see them being a dark horse in this tournament, and I'll go on to that later. Looking at their team, again, nothing special, but I think what they managed to do in the qualifiers and in recent games, I do think Romania have a chance in this group, not only to qualify but to top the group. I guess the only question being really is how they play against Belgium. And speaking of which, in second I've got Belgium themselves. Watching them against England the other night, as well as in the games in qualifiers, Belgium are a very strong country. They're one of the top ranked teams in the world. They've got players such as Lukaku, for example. Belgium are really strong. I mean, what Tielemans did to the England defence the other night was nothing short of special. He almost got a hat-trick, so fair play to Belgium. Also, loving their away kit inspired by Tintin. That's just a weird thing I wanted to add there, but yeah, Belgium second for the group. In third, I've got Ukraine. So Ukraine is an interesting one. Obviously, because of things that are going on in the world currently, the Ukraine national team do tend to turn up for international tournaments, especially, the fact that they had to squeak in to qualify for this tournament. But at the same time, Ukraine can put in performances. They've got really decent young players, especially coming through now, such as Mudryk and etc. And they do have players that are lightning fast, really pacey, and are clinical on the ball, as well as, just finishing it in the back of the net. So we'll have to wait and see from Ukraine. I do hope they do well. They're one of those teams that I'll always cheer for. We're going to have to wait and see. In fourth, I've got Slovakia. Again, I could kind of see Slovakia getting third or fourth in this group. Nothing more, nothing better. It's kind of like Slovenia, where I don't really know too much about Slovakia other than a few players. So again, I'm not really going to talk too much on them. But yeah, I think compared to the other three teams in this group, I can see Slovakia just coming fourth. And finally, Group F. Topping the group, I've got Portugal. Obviously, they've got Cristiano Ronaldo, João Felix, Bruno Fernandes, etc, etc. They've got some of the best players in the world on their team, and I think Portugal will top this group, but I don't think it will be easy. I do think that a certain other team will give them difficulty, and that is Turkey. I've got Turkey in second. Turkey, sort of like Serbia, sort of like Hungary, are a very gritty, very hard team to not only attack against, because they've got a rock solid back four, but they will get loads of yellow cards, they will get loads of nick-ins here and there, and Turkey are going to be a really difficult team to play, and I can see Turkey actually topping this group. I think Turkey are one of those countries where they either do really well or really badly, sort of like Italy, but we'll have to wait and see. In third, I've got a bit of an underdog here, and that is the fact that I've got Georgia. This is the first time they've ever qualified for sort of a major Euros, and what they've done is brilliant. They've got brand new players coming in and younger players, and they do have some people that are very clinical on the ball. Speaking of which, they obviously have Kvaratskhelia. I can never pronounce his name. Obviously plays for Napoli on the left wing. One of the best players, I'd say one of the best wingers in the world from last season. He has an absolute brilliant time playing for Napoli. So I don't think Georgia will do very well in this tournament. I do think they'll at least get through to the last 16 maybe. But again, we'll have to wait and see. I really hope Georgia do well, because I think it'd be, again, everyone loves an underdog story. But I don't know, I can't really see them getting too far in the tournament. And in last place, Czechia. Czechia do have the, opportunity to do well in this group, but I've got to be honest, they do. Again, they're kind of like Turkey and Italy, where they either perform really well or really badly, and they never really have too much success internationally. They usually get through to quarterfinals at best. So again, I do think they've got, the power to maybe get second in the group or third, but I don't think they're getting any higher than that. So next up is the third place ranking. So this is obviously third place in each group, and then the top four qualify going into the round of 16. In order, I've got it Hungary, Italy, Ukraine, Netherlands, Georgia and Denmark. I think Denmark, again, are one of those, I think they'll either perform very well or very badly. And just something about the current Denmark team tells me that they will go out in the third place ranking. I think Georgia as well, I would love to see them go through, but I don't think their team is quite strong enough to go against the big boys such as, maybe Hungary or Italy, etc. But yeah, I think Hungary, Italy, Ukraine and Netherlands will go through here. Alright, so round of 16. So in the Telegraph Euro 2024 predictor, which is what I'm using for this video, and I'll put a link to it in the description below, I have actually got the current matchups here. So first off, Germany versus Serbia. I think Germany will win this. I think it will be a very gritty, very high challenge, high yellow card game, but I do think Germany have obviously got the quality over Serbia. In match 2, obviously, we've got Scotland versus Spain. Now, I've gone for a bit of an upset here. Although I do think Spain are the better team and have the better players, it's just something about Scotland in this tournament. I don't know if it's just watching them through the qualifiers, but I really can see Scotland pulling a bit of an upset here and beating Spain. Next up in match 3, I've got Croatia versus Ukraine. I think Croatia will win this. Again, I think it will be a very tight game, something like 1-0 or 2-1, or it might even go to penalties. But Croatia, again, usually do turn up for international tournaments. I can see them winning here. In match 4, I've got England versus Netherlands. I do think England will win. Again, the Netherlands are they're in a bit of a weird spot at the moment. So are England, to be fair. We did pretty badly in our friendlies, all things considered. But I think once we get players like Saka and Kane back into the mix, I think we'll be fine. Portugal versus Italy. This will be a really good game, but I've gone for Portugal purely for the fact that I do think Portugal currently have the better team. But again, this will be a really difficult one. I can either see this being high scoring, something like 4-3 or 3-3, or completely 0-0 going to penalties. And again, I think this is a game that could go either way. I do think Italy could beat Portugal, but I've gone for Portugal for the sake of this video. Next up, Austria versus Belgium. I've gone for Belgium. I was actually, again, going to pull a bit of an upset and go Austria, but I think, thinking with my head rather than my heart, I think Belgium will go through just because they've got the better team, and their performance against England was really convincing the other night, so yeah, I've gone with Belgium. Another upset here, and I do think, again, this will be a very tough game, very tight game, but Romania versus Hungary. I've gone for another upset, being Romania. Again, their qualifying matches and some of the friendlies they've had in the past couple of years have been really convincing, and I do think this could be one of the tournaments where a lower team actually goes through, and I do think that Romania have the power to beat someone like Hungary. And last, France versus Turkey. I could see France going through quite easily here, 2 or 3-0. Again, France just have so much more quality. Again, Turkey are a bit of a dark horse in this tournament. Again, they're very gritty, very difficult to play against. But I think France will come out on top. So next up is the quarterfinals. Again, 4 games here. So Germany versus Croatia. Again, Croatia always do turn up for national tournaments, especially the past few or so. But I think that Germany will take out Croatia here as they're, host of the tournament. They've got, the backing of the crowd and obviously playing on their home turf effectively. And Germany do have really good quality at the moment. Match 2, Portugal versus Belgium. I've gone for Belgium just because I could really see them winning, but again, I could see this going to penalties or very tight to the wire, or maybe like a late goal from Kevin De Bruyne or Doku or Lukaku, maybe squeezing in a penalty last minute or something like that. But yeah, I've gone for Belgium here. Game 3, Romania versus France. I do think the Romania love story will end here purely for the fact that obviously I've got them as a bit of a dark horse, a bit of an underdog in this tournament, but I do think they will go out to France. France are, in my opinion, very likely favourites for this tournament, and I do think they will beat Romania. England versus Scotland. This is always an amazing game to watch purely for the atmosphere. The last time these two faced, Harry Maguire scored an own goal and it spawned one of the best chants I've heard in a while, with the Scotland fans singing for Harry Maguire, which is really funny to watch. But again, with the history of England and Scotland, England pretty much always come out on top, and I can definitely see them doing that for these quarterfinals of the Euros. So, semi-final time, Germany versus Belgium in match 1. I've gone for Germany. I think this will be an extremely tight game. I think this will be, again, down to the wire. But I think Germany, with the backing of their home country, will prevail and go through. A repeat of the World Cup and possibly a revenge match for England. France versus England, match 2 of these semi-finals here. France versus England's a really interesting one, but this time in particular I've actually gone with France beating England purely for the fact that, again, one of the best teams in the world. And I do think that, again, this could go down to penalties or it could be 2-2. Again, if it wasn't for Harry Kane missing that penalty, England would have maybe beaten France in the World Cup. So I do think it's definitely possible, but I do think France have that little edge over England, especially if certain players for England are injured for the tournament and depending on the team that Southgate picks. But I do think France can beat England quite easily. Now for the final. This one's really interesting, but I've got to be honest, I've gone for Germany. Something just tells me, again, I don't know what it is. I think it's the team itself and the fact that obviously you're always favourites playing in your own country, but I can really see Germany winning this one. Again, France are an amazing team. Kylian Mbappe is such a good player. He has the power to carry an entire team. And obviously, that's not discouraging the other French players. The France team in general is absolutely starstruck from top to bottom. Even their, reserves and subs have some of the best players in the world. But I can really see Germany winning this one, especially the fact that the other night Germany actually won their meeting with France in a friendly. So yeah, that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Those are my predictions. I'll probably do a video as well, sort of looking back at these predictions, because I think it would be really funny to watch. I've probably got a lot of these wrong, especially with some of the underdog picks. But tell me in the comments below, what do you think about some of my predictions? And who do you think will win the tournament overall? Do you think Germany could do it, France could do it, or England can do it? Thank you so much for watching. And for more football content, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I've been Lockheart FC, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.